Good afternoon, this is Jeff with SewerTech Northwest. Today we're at 529 8th Street here in Lake Oswego. We're located inside the garage, the back side of the house here. That's as you face the front of the home from the street, and that's how I describe everything generally. So right in the middle of the garage floor here, when you exit out of the entryway into the house, got a 4-inch ABS cleanout. And check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water is currently running, and we are zeroed out. Off we go here. And I apologize, normally I've got my auto leveling camera head here. My wireless system doesn't let me manually flip the image over, so sorry for that. It doesn't bug me, but I know that you would probably prefer to have this right side up. And then so the downstairs portion of the house, I was just taking a look at that. You do have an ejector pump for the basement. And I'm very happy to see that you have a gravity fed system for upstairs. We just swapped over to 3034 PVC there, 4-inch diameter. This is appeared to be. Yeah, it looks like it's remaining 4-inch through there. Anyway, so the basement area is dependent upon a pump to lift everything up. It looks like about 3 or 4 feet to tie into the gravity system. What's nice about that is if the power ever goes out, and it will at some point, it always does during some nasty snowstorm, that downstairs area will be offline unless you have a generator system. I don't know if this has any auto start generator system built into it or anything. And you can always manually wire them into a generator, but that downstairs area won't function unless it has power. So if the power goes out, just make sure you are, and I suppose you could probably use a battery backup system too, but if you don't have any of those systems in place, when the power goes out, make sure nobody uses that basement. The tank will handle up to a certain amount. Normally though, when it fills up to a point, it kicks the level switch off and it ejects the sewage. So you don't want to overload the tank and have sewage coming out of that thing into your basement. Luckily, the upstairs area is a gravity fed system, and so you can still have the usage of the upstairs portion of the plumbing. So right there is the main lateral at about 46 feet. I'm going to pull back just slightly here to get a better locate. I'm going to go locate the camera head real quick here while the line drains out. And then we'll pull back and take another look at everything. Thus far, though, everything's looking good here. Alright, located the camera head successfully. Line terminates in the alleyway out back. Pretty much right in the middle of the gravel road back there is where the main is at. Anyway, there's the main. Got a little bit of water still trickling to the line. I ran the kitchen sink. Seems like that'd be quite a long time for that thing to drain out. You might have the condenser line or something like that for the... I don't know if the water heater here is tied in. It looks like I can see some kind of drip line coming off of it, but anyway, sometimes that's all it is. You got a little bit of just a teeny tiny slip right there at that joint. It's very, very subtle. And generally, if you look between that, you've generally got jet black, it looks like, or a coupler. From the looks of it here, and that little bit of gunk stuck in the joint looks like someone put a piece of excess caulk down the line that got kind of caught in the joint there. That is indeed right in the flow line. As it sits right now, this is I will notate on the report at 37 feet. You've got, we're talking like maybe a 1/16 of an inch slip there. I don't even think it's even a 1/4 of an inch. But as it sits right now, this is not even for new construction. That's too minor, in my opinion, to require repairs or anything like that. The joint looks closed off there, and there's no lip in the flow line for anything to get hung up on. Yeah, right here, I kind of thought this was the case here. I think as this thing rounds this bend, I noticed how my camera kind of sloshed into here. It almost feels like it might be transitioning to 6-inch. It might just be the way that the pipe does this turn like this. My camera kind of caught on the backside of that edge or the joint there. It's hard to say. I'm gonna keep it as 4-inch. It might be 6-inch. It's kind of hard to say. When you get a turn like that in the line visually, it's very hard to tell. Anyway, anytime I see anything like that, even when it's minute, I do recommend re-scoping. If you've got a 1-year warranty on the house, you want to do that re-scope at the, before the 1-year mark. Obviously, you want to do it around 9 months, 10 months. Let the thing sit in the ground, go through some rainy seasons, stuff like that. That way, if we come back 9 months from now, if anything has progressed, we're going to see it. Right now, you can have pipe joints like that all day long that can sit that way for decades, never amount to anything, because you have a coupler outside the pipe that joins the pieces of pipe together. So very rarely do you see something like that progress into anything, but it's worth taking a look at, because if it does change or progress, it's nothing I want to see the homeowner having to deal with. So yeah, you've got a little bit of water draining from somewhere. It's kind of hard to say where, but in fact, that's coming from, it's possible it could be the remnants of the sink turned off. I'll go in the house here and make sure we don't have a toilet flapper that's not shut all the way or something like that. Anyway, that's as far as we're going to go there. Once you go right back to the foundation wall, the line goes vertical. As we sit here today, we have good flow all the way out to the main lateral connection. All the pipe here appears to be intact and in good condition. Slight question mark there at 37 feet. After 13 years, 24 or 5,000 sewer scopes later, it's very uncommon for a joint like that to turn out to be open to the ground. But when they're this new, especially if a line has been put in during the dry season and you haven't had much rain yet to get the ground saturated with water, it can be very difficult to discern whether a joint is exposed to the ground at all until you've had enough time for the ground to get really saturated. And usually what your first signs are is you'll get staining at the pipe joint there where groundwater is seeping through. Granted, it's one of those locations that can be a tricky one to discern either way, though, because where that spot is at is in the flow line, where water is always moving through the pipe. Sometimes it can be tricky to catch stuff where water is always washing the evidence away, but there's usually some amount of something that tells you some kind of story at that point. I think it's worth taking a look at. And if nothing else, even if you don't get that, if we get any progression of the joint slipping further, at that point in time, I would look at the prospect of doing a repair on it to ensure it doesn't continuously shift. Even if you go from a 1/16 of an inch of separation right now to, let's say, even a 1/4 inch, if you see that in the span of 9 months, you don't know within reason if it's going to stop or if it's going to continue to shift over time. So as we sit here today, I don't see anything about that joint that looks exposed to the ground, nor is there any lip on it or anything that's affecting flow. Good flow of the main line is functioning properly at this time, but I would certainly take another look at it about 9 months from now and make sure everything's still looking good.